Chamber for having me. Thank you so much, Camano Island. Some of you, hello, and some of you, hello again. I was here just on Sunday. Anyone was here at the Camano Comedy Night? Okay, that's perfect. So you haven't seen it, that's why we're here, right? Okay, let me just get situated here. This podium is not just not trying to be fancy. I just have a bunch of things to hide here so you can see it. And just so you know, this is not a comedy show, right? You guys know that. Okay, I read the meeting description. It's fun and entertaining. I was like, oh, I was just trying to be informative. So my name is Bernice, yeah. And a lot of people are always suspicious, like, Bernice, did you really live on Camano Island? Yes, I did. Yes. You didn't spot me on the beach. It's only because now I live in LA. But in how did I get here? Yes, how did I get here? Somebody from China, right? Like in 2020, in the middle of COVID lockdown, my husband and I were bored out of our mind. We tried to find a place to go, and Camano Island is the only island that doesn't require a ferry. Yeah, so we come here, we saw both eagles, and then we caught our own crabs, and we're just instantly seduced. And that's how we moved here. And you know, Camano Island has been a very special place for me. It definitely draws something special out of you, you know, aka coming out of your shell. And so in 2 months, I quit my full-time job, you know, going to do comedy full-time. And it's wonderful, the summer here is beautiful, but when the lockdown opened, I realized, whoa, there is zero comedy here. And zero. And for me, I have to drive, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours to Seattle, to Tacoma. The commute was killing me. Feeling a little bit discouraged, but I also see this is probably an opportunity, right? There is no comedy, but what if I bring it to my backyard? I'm very lazy, so I brought it really close to Camano Country Club. But obviously at the time, you know, any business owner, I did not just email Country Club. I emailed the Club 282, 282. 282, I was messing up. So I emailed a bunch of places, okay? But I understand when you receive an email with the name of Bernice, it's like, is she 90? But with the last name, yeah, it's like, what? Asian? Do we have Asians on the island? You know, so it's very suspicious. But luckily we have, luckily Yurli just have such an open mind. You know, she said, hey, I'm curious to hear about it. So I pitched to her about maybe producing a comedy show. Ron Cooper, our president here, he's a little harder to convince, but you know, he's willing to have an open mind and take a chance on me. And we did one try. So how about let's just try it here. Camano Comedy Night, and the very first show we sold out. Yeah, and everybody had a great time, and that's how we got here. So it has been running for 2 years now, and we pretty much sell out for every time. Yeah, so so kudos to Yurli. She has been amazing. Country Club has been just an amazing partner, but also I hope whatever I've learned can share, because I feel like there is a lot of things that can benefit local business. Also, like Camano Island is also where I found God, so I feel like it has been a very special gift to me. So I'm just trying to see if anything I can do to give back and to help the business here. Yes, that's why I'm here today. Yeah. Thank you. And so the outline, I'm thinking, okay, so business or comedy for business, you guys are not thinking about helping you guys be more funny, right? That's not the thing, right? We're just trying to see, what if we bring using comedy to boost your business, right? Doing comedy show? Okay, cool. That's right, the right topics. The outline I have in mind, generally, we'll go pretty free flow, but generally it's like this, you know, why comedy? And then it's like, what are the benefits of comedy can do, or other shows? You know, what's unique about comedy? What's unique about Camano Island? very different than any other demographic cities I've worked with. Then if you want to try comedy, how do you get started? What type of partner to look for? How do you set up the responsibility, the process? So some of the practical stuff, some of the things to watch out for. And then, we're going to have Q&A. So, for your business, any questions, challenges, that's kind of the overall flow. Okay, cool. So why comedy? First of all, I kind of just want to know, tell me a little bit of your business. Like what is your business?
Insurance.
Insurance, okay. That's like agents. I have been hired by an insurance agency to do horror comedy, so that's different. Yeah, so I don't produce shows, but yeah, so it's rare, it's not as common, but I have somebody who is an insurance agent, but she does this type of meetups and things, and she's a comedy, so hold that thought. Who else?
Printer, graphic designer. Printer and graphic designer.
And a graphic designer. Oh, okay. All right, well, later we'll do a bunch of callbacks together. Who else?
Real estate broker.
Okay, real estate broker. Cool.
Family support center, social services.
Okay, family support, social services. I see someone hands here.
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy.
Zip line.
Zip line. Oh wow! I didn't know there are so many business here on Camano Island. Oh wow. Okay, let's just feel free to throw in ideas in between. Okay, how about my business? But we can get started. We don't have to be stuck here. So a lot of times, so comedy shows can happen at many different places. A lot of the times you see is at restaurants, at bars, country clubs, and fundraising. Some private social gatherings too. So if you have a group of clientele, sometimes you want to do a private meetup, you can also use a comedy. Places you'll be surprised, like laundromats. People do comedy show at laundromats. People do it at a church and a strip club. So you never know. You never know. But generally, the benefit is like comedy is something that you can have a group of people enjoying, and for business, if you have a slow night, you're already paying the rent, right? And so it's a really great way to get people into your door. And on the island, because there isn't much entertainment, so sometimes you have one thing, it became a whole neighborhood thing. People looking for an excuse to come out and get their friends. It's become a ritual, it could be. And so if you have a slow night, that could become you are not making much money, or in my head I'm thinking so much about restaurant and bar model because that's the most common. But if you want to have a specific question for a business, we can also brainstorm. So you get people to come out into the door. But when you are doing comedy shows, it's people generally a show is about an hour to an hour and a half. That's kind of the sweet spot, right? So you get a chance to say hi to people beforehand, and then they order drinks. A lot of times people go to a pub, they get one or two drinks, they talk a lot among each other, so they drink slow. But when they watch other people joke, they drink a little faster, so ended up for an hour. so it's an hour and a half, you just ended up making more money with your drink tabs, So that's kind of the secret thing we don't really talk as much, is you do have more tabs, like bigger tabs that way. Let me see, I will outline to slow down. And once people, so they stay, and then you get new customer thing, right? So some people, like for example, country club. I thought everybody knows country club, but it looks like actually a lot of people haven't been here. And so doing comedy shows, a lot of people will come from Stanwood. It's a draw because we can get to the part with like Camano Island. There's not much competition in entertainment, right? After 9 o'clock it's dark. Yeah. So just for your selfish reasons, like, hey, if I want to do something that's for fun with my friends, if you think it's fun, chances are other Camano Islanders think it's fun as well. And people really come out and support. Okay, so that's one of the things. I feel like there's a very unique opportunities here, and they get to know your place. Great for fundraising. Comedy is used a lot for fundraising, and like the setup like this is perfect. People eat something, they sit down, and because it's mostly talking, right? The host or the comedian, each person while they are doing their set, they tend to, if you want them to, they can plug in for your cause. So in a way that it's using humor and people having a great time. So it's not, hey, donate money. Yes, it's not just preaching, right? So people can feel relaxed and they also get them drunk, so they donate more money. sorry, I like this vibe is more like AA vibe. Sorry, I shouldn't mention alcohol so much. Right? Like I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to it, but I feel like the table is a round table and it's during the daytime and doing positive things. Okay, and it's true. I don't think it has to be pure comedy either. The show I do in LA is mixing in variety. So I add in music acts, sometimes it's singers, sometimes I do magic, and I think it depends. Like depends on the venue, depends on the setup. And at a country club, I'll get to the format a little bit later. Like you just have to know the attention span of your audience, how long an act is, how loud it is. But not restricted to comedy. Okay, so let's talk about some unique advantage of Camano Island. We already touched on that a little bit, right? Also know that this is a retirement community. Yeah, a lot of people. It's not everyone. I mean, you guys are so young. You guys are the youngest people I've seen. But here's the thing, right? Like, there's an advantage of like people. A lot of people they are more available. They have more time, and they don't necessarily have a Monday to Friday jobs. And there's something very unique about that. Like, a lot of the really good comedians, like traveling national headliners, they come to Seattle. Yeah, of course, sometimes Tacoma, but they usually have to sign a non-compete clause about if you perform Friday and Saturday, you cannot do other shows within Seattle.
Wow.
Makes sense because their fans will come out those 2 nights. They're not gonna, if you do perform this club, well, you sell them tickets at another club, they can't, okay? So a lot of times people will travel, they fly in, they do Friday and Saturday, and they cannot perform at other shows, they go back, right? And sometimes they take one more day. Well, we moved our show to Sunday night, and I'm able to book a lot of more bigger names of comedians, and they're willing to do because the cover cost is already covered by other comedy clubs. So, so some nights, Friday, Saturday is the prime entertainment night for the city folks. But at Camano Island, sometimes Sunday can be a big night too. Yeah, or Thursday, So then this way you're able to hire talents that have a free night, potentially for a lower budget as well, and travel costs, right? Because it's still quite a way to even drive from the city to Camano Island. And okay, another thing. And so we talk about non-compete terms. And the Camano audience are awesome. People who showed up here really just want to laugh. And believe it or not, it's not always a guarantee. And, like in Seattle or most of the cities, people come in, make me laugh. Or like people are very judgmental. Comedians a lot of times make a joke, sometimes not careful. People are just mad, right? I feel like in Camano, we want entertainment. So people come here, we want to have a good time. People really show up. And it's not always easy for comedians, and the fact that if they don't have to do really hard work to promote as a talent, it take off a lot of the work. So even though maybe they have to drive far, maybe you pay them a little bit less than some of the major clubs, it's still a good time. It's a good time, it's a fun for the comedian. So also know that as a unique advantage. Yeah. Okay, any questions before I move on to talk about some of the business models? Because I want to make sure whatever I say can be applicable for.
So I have a situation. I went to a local distillery for a comedy night, and they brought in a couple people from New York, and their experiences in New York were so different than the people sitting in that environment that they didn't connect.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that's important too, is who's your audience and whether or not they'll be a good match.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
So
these people were talking pretty crass, and a lot of people in this place were not. So
that's a big thing. It's in my list. I'm going to cover that.
Sorry,
It's
I'm stealing your show.
No. No, that means like I anticipated this question.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so good because this is something I noticed. So how to have the right comedian to speak to your audience, right? And then brewery is a big thing, and that happens. And clean comedy. I found our island is. I'm going to jump into that because okay, let's just.
You get there when you get there.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll talk real quick about the business model because I have a whole bucket of what to look for. So the business model, a lot of times, there's many different ways to go. Let's just start with the most simple one, right? Like if you find a producer, I highly recommend that you don't be the producer for the show. You being the business owner, find a partner who knows comedy, who knows talents, who have a network of like they know who is in the area, who are the talents, who is appropriate for your audience, who themselves is a pretty decent human being. Like you talk to them, this person needs to be responsible, this person needs to be like jive with you well, but also you have a good energy. You don't want this person to be like negative or like, because that's going to bring to your customers, right? So that's the thing. Have a producer who does the booking of the talent. And then there is definitely the business model. There are sometimes you could do a flat fee, because sometimes you rent a venue. So the producer or you somehow you have to figure out who pays the flat fee, and then you can charge a ticket. You can sell ticket, but sometimes private events, a lot of times you're raising funds, and then that's a different story, right? For bars and then restaurants, a lot of times is like the incentive for the business is like, now I have more customers coming in, I have more customer ordering more things, so a lot of times they make the show free, but they will calculate, they keep track of the tabs, and then they split the tabs. They have a way to split the tabs with the producer. Those type of shows in general, in my experience, you don't necessarily pay the producer and talent as much, but it's a slowly build up because this type of shows takes traction. You have to build, and then now everybody talk about it. Oh, it happens every week. So in the beginning, might not have a big change, but you just have to let it run. But in the meanwhile, if you find the right show, you got nothing to lose, right? The risk is somebody who don't know how to put the talents, and now your customer got mad. It's like, oh, I came here just for you, and now I'm like disturbed. So you don't want that. But that's a very lower risk model. And another, you can also do selling tickets, split the door. You can say, oh, this is a shared cost, and then we can, there's different ways. Okay, so selling tickets, obviously you have the door sales. But a lot of times there's expenses. Expenses associated with making flyers and marketing promotion, sometimes buy equipment, like we have to get microphones, some liquor license. So does the producer shoulder that part of the cost if they want to own the equipment, or you want to co-own, or you want to share? And then you do the split. So those are different ways. I think the general principle is to make sure both parties have skin in the game. I feel like I worked with many different type of models. Is both partners, business and the producers, they have unique complementary skills to bring to the table. And it's not one doing more than the other, and then you have skin in the game. So like, the moment people get it, oh, this is my responsibility, that's your responsibility, you're going to meet a lot of frictions, and then there's going to be a lot of gaps. I'll throw in an example here. At the country club, sometimes, there are things that we don't even talk about, right? Like, we don't have a stage. And Ron was just like, okay, I'm going to build a stage. He got, those wooden boxes he painted, so he's willing to do that. But if he's not willing to do it, I'm going to step up. But in the meanwhile, I know I wouldn't look for Yuri around to book the comedians, right? So that's where I come in, I make the flyers. So there is a clear thing, I do the tickets, I make sure that the hosts are there, but I rely a lot on Yuri and Ron to help me with everything country club. And because we have this number, we have the email, and so the ticket sales come in a lot from the already existing network. I found, so the show I do in LA, because the club, they don't bring in any ticket sale, zero. So I have to pretty much sell every single ticket on my own, and I found that very difficult. It's just very difficult to succeed. That's the thing to think about. Will this be a success? Do you think you have customers that come in your way? So that's one of the things. That's the business model. Okay, we can talk about what you look out for. Produce a comedy show is a lot more work than it looks. It looks very simple, just like a person with a microphone. Then sure, we have it, right? But then in order to, so a lot of times as a producer, I have to first work out the logistic with the business owner, and then I need to find the right talent to book. Who is going to play well in this room? I need to know your audience, know the demographic. And then, but not everybody is available. Not every comedian is available, so I have to, make sure to find a good, when you book a headliner, you also need to know who is complementary, not just the individual talent, how do they come together? That's a good combination. And what's the format? Because for the country club, we do the traditional comedy club format. We have a headliner that's about 45 to 60 minutes. And then have a feature, do 20, have a host and opener to do early get the vibe going, right? But that model will not work in a restaurant bar, because to sustain anyone's, especially Camano Island's audience, older audience's attention for 45, 60 minutes, you got somebody very strong, it's not much distraction. At the restaurant or bar, people want to talk. That will not be a good experience. So a lot of times they will have maybe about 3 to 4 to 5 comedians doing much shorter set in between, so people have breaks. And then when you have breaks, it's also people then make orders, right? They go to the bathroom, they make more drinks, so it's also built in to work for your business as well. And understand your audience. For Camano Island, I found, clean comedy is your safe bet, when the headliner, they have 45 minutes, and they are generally clean, but they can be a little naughty, like Susan Rice. Who has been to Susan Rice's show? That's okay, so Susan Rice is this adorable 75-year-old lady, okay? She's like the funniest, in business for 40 years and being from Portland all the way. And so every time she comes here, wow, everybody loves her so much, right? But for her, she actually is the most naughty one. She'll be, cute. She can do that, right? But you got a 20-year-old young white guy to do that, that's gross, Right? So it all depends. You gotta know your audience. And the clean, you will be so surprised how many comedians don't understand the concept of clean. Because there's, I'm not cussing, but then you're talking about, I had one comedian I booked, it's a friend of mine, okay? And I told him he's clean. And they said, clean, and I said also, clean and also non-political. Because in Camano Island, because we are very political diverse, and when you talk about political things, people get very tight, very nervous, and you lose the vibe. It's not that you cannot, but I highly recommend not, right? And then so my friend, I told him that, and he still told very graphic jokes, and the people boo him. You know, that's how how honest our Camano Island audience is. Like, old people, they don't take shit. I just cussed, okay? But you know, sometimes that's okay with the older audience, but it's more about the topic too. So you really kind of need to know like what your audience like or don't like, and then that a lot of times you have to interview the producer a little bit and how they communicate, and even that I have to learn some lessons, right? I got friends mad at me, yeah, because like they did, I told them and they don't get it, and then I was like, well, I have a reputation to maintain here too. So some of that is to be clear, very communicate clear with the producer, but also you gotta interview the producer to see if they know or not. And holding the bar is not easy, because when I book the headliner here, like generally I'm not looking just people who can do an hour, people who has been doing that 1 hour for like at least 10, 15 years. Because they need to hold the ground here. Like I found on Camano when you say something, like people might not like it, and people show they don't like it. And then you have to be able to turn around, otherwise the 45 minutes is very painful, right? Yeah, and so as a producer, for me, I have a lot of comedian friends get offended at me for like, Bernice, I thought we're friends, why are you not booking me? I have to be able to also stand my ground, to know the quality bar I'm holding. Say, well, you are great for other shows, but you're not necessarily great for my Camano Island room. So that's another thing. The person needs to have that boundary set and hold the quality bar. We'll talk about clean comedy. Age requirements for audience, right? Like, be clear about the age requirement. I have done a brewery show, where there's comedy. But the thing is, there are people who came in to watch the comedy, but there are also people who went there just to go visit the brewery. They did not know the comedy was happening. So they're just accidentally there, right? And I don't know why that, maybe now breweries, you can bring kids and dogs and everything now, like, so I thought it's more like 21 plus, but there are kids there, and then sometimes the comedians, they don't even know there are kids there, you know, so that is something you need to communicate, set expectations. Even your show says 21 plus or 18 plus, and will there be anyone that's accidentally not there? And even if you tell the comedian now, some of the comedians they booked, they are so used to do their routine, in the moment they forget, right? And then I feel like it's more important to protect your customer. Like, you don't want them to have a bad experience taking their kids and they're like forever, like traumatized. So cool. And okay, about the producers, I talked a little bit about that. Let me scroll, I have an outline here. Okay, about promotion, it's interesting because Camano Island is also very different when it's promotion. I remember my first show, people hold the crab crackers coming in, and my other comedians, do you want me to post on Instagram? I was like, you can, but I don't know how many tickets are going to bring on Instagram. Do you guys do social media? Oh, wow. Okay, if you have questions about social media, like I also do a lot of social media. I didn't really quite prepare a lot of things in that, because every time I mention, people don't, like the show sells pretty well without any advertising on social media in mind for this show, okay? So if you have questions about social media, feel free to ask during the Q&A. I just didn't even think, wow, you guys are so impressive. Like, where were you when I was on the island? Okay, yes, and as far as something really simple is like for comedy shows, generally you want to make sure you have the equipment. Equipment is pretty simple, you know, you got a microphone, speaker, some of the places, if you do karaoke already, you already have everything. And even from Costco, microphone, people do the karaoke, that would work. Some lights, but it's not even really required, but you can get some lights. And even if you don't have a stage, it's okay. So another reason that business like comedy is just so much easier compared to like a band or even magicians. They have to bring all the props. Usually it's just a person and a microphone. Yeah. Okay, neighborhood working. And another thing is, I think, because it's all neighborhood here is a community, I would say, whoever does a comedy show, and then, work with each other. So like create, so, if you know somebody who have a schedule this time, try to come together as a community. So if you do this time, I do another time, so you don't create a conflict. We're all here to support each other. In my experience, even in Seattle, when people do shows, it's very easy to cause drama. No kidding, and so especially among the producers too. It's, oh, this is my venue. Oh, you got my venue. So there's some beef going on too. So, it's not worth it, right? Like we're all here supporting each other and also make sure your producer understand that as well. Yeah. And the host, the producer doesn't have to be the host, but a lot of times to make things easier, that's how it is. So like for Camano Comedy Nights, I host, I produce a show, I hosted for quite a while to get the vibe going, but now that I moved to LA, so I don't necessarily host every single show, but the host is just like, the way you see is, they are the host of a house party, and that's their house. And then, so when you look at this person, would I want to party with this person in their house? That's the general way for you to know how the vibe is set. I actually pretty much finished all the things on my list, so I feel it's better to open up for some Q&A, yeah.
Yes, when you were, like you mentioned, social media on Camano, like there's a younger group, and there's, I think a lot of the business owners are using social media.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that there's a lot of the community that doesn't really get on there. But do you find any success with social media here on the island or in Stanwood?
So social media has helped me a lot because as far as like somebody like me, like in the comedy industry, people will make a lot of superficial judgment, right? Like, oh, what? Like somebody with an accent is like Asian female, and so if I go to a club, and a lot of times they don't even give me the opportunity. So for me, it's almost like I have to use social media. But in a way, social media is rewarding if you can keep up the consistency. All the algorithms and platforms, like you post, like for you're nodding, right? Yeah, the consistency is very important. And but when you really keep up, decide how many times a week you want to post, which days, and they even look at the time window. So choose what works for your schedule. You can maybe even schedule the content, but try to have a way that is consistent. At some point, really the break is when your content reaches consistent. The algorithm starts to push it to people's explore tab, and then expose to people who are not already following you. It's really frustrating because the platform is so big now. Just because somebody follow you does not mean they will see your post. That's just it. Yeah, they don't see it. So you cannot see it as, oh, you follow me now and I post things that you will know. People generally will not know. And Instagram, Facebook almost is like a pay-to-play platform, right? So you have to use ads to advertise in this platform, just want you to pay their money. But when you are able to post like valuable, entertaining content consistently, you usually will have some moment that your content can be seen by people who are not following you, have a broader reach. And you just have to trust and believe and create content that make you happy, because sometimes when you have the heart and soul and the fun, the energy, people feel it and the benefit. Like I would say, if you produce comedy show, right, tape the show. A lot of people don't record. If you have good equipment and stuff, and you can also even set it up with a producer. It's like, hey, can we record it, so then we have clips to share. And that is a really good thing, because comedy right now on social media is very easy to go viral. Like somebody have a funny moment and they post it and they'll go viral. You can do go collaborator with the comedians and collaborator with the business. You don't necessarily even need to be the one who create a post. The comedians are generally, comedians do anything for like a social viral moment, right? So, so if you can somehow have a good video, I feel like on an island we actually have a lot of talents here. So people with good cameras, people like somehow you have a good video. Think about it, the show, if you have like 60 minutes of like things, you probably, each show, you will have at least have 10 good moments of 1 minute content you post. Those are the things like spread really fast. People share, people like neighbors who went to the show had a great moment. They want to share this to their neighbors, and when they share, that's things that go viral. So those are the things that can get expose people to your business. But the key is to also make sure the content that comedian posts tag your business. So it's not just about, oh, this comedian is funny and there's like fun shows. How do you collaborate to create those content too? Yeah. Does that answer the question a little bit?
Can we have a couple jokes?
Oh, sorry, so dry. Oh my God. Okay. I was like, sure. I was not sure how. Do you want to tell? You guys want to hear how my first interaction with Camano Island?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I told you I was seduced. And this is not quite a joke. I feel like it's a conversation because like I'm not doing a set. Okay. But I just tell the story. Camano Island. I first got here, but it's because it's so beautiful in the summer. But by the time I found my house here, it was December, okay? And then I feel like it's different. Right? Like first of all, I noticed, all the Whole Foods market just turned into tractor supply stores. Right? And then, I showed up and I just doubled Asian population. I did find some other Asians, but still, out of 10,000 people, we're the 1%. And before I discovered the Camano Thai in the IGA. Yes. Oh my God. IGA. The first Thai place I went to is a Stanwood Thai. Yeah, Stanwood Thai, you guys know. But it's very, like my first time come to a Thai restaurant. Wow, I was greeted by a white lady. She was so nice. She said, oh my God, so happy you're here. Tell me if it's authentic. I don't know. I'm Chinese. but she's so nice. She's really, really nice. But and my neighbor's also nice, right? Because you guys learned. I learned they're all retired people. My neighbor Nancy, she's very enthusiastic, but so enthusiastic. She bring me food, bring me cookies. Like every time I open the door, she's like, there's more food, right? And to the point, like I only come out the door in the dark. I was like, okay, I'm like a ninja. Okay, dump the trash, Because I ate way too much food just because all the food Nancy makes. And the 80-year-old, they're very cool. I know you guys, not you guys, they party like there's no tomorrow. Because the first weekend, I moved in. It was dark as December, and I saw a Jeep just in the ditch. Yeah, the body's in the air, right? And then I came out, wife was freaking out, what's happening? And I heard Nancy, ha 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 ha, that's my neighbor Jerry. He had too much martini. And then while waiting for AAA, he's having another one. Those are not my jokes, those are just the stories I finally got to tell, okay? But Nancy, also was very nice. She also threw me a potluck, like a welcome potluck. And she knocked on the door and was like, hey Bernice, can you bring an Asian chicken salad? Yeah, I know. I didn't even know what that is. Yes. Because in Asia, we don't have like salad. Yeah, like I have to Google that. Okay. I was Googling that and I was making it and I was just chopping. Because all the recipe just like peppers chopped, carrots chopped, this chopped, right? I was having a mental meltdown. But there's too much chopping. Okay. So I went to Costco. I bought my Asian chicken salad, and I put in my bamboo Asian bowl, I mixed a little bit of things I chopped, okay? So there's a part I participated. I brought the salad to the party, and I was like, I'm nervous, right? But then everybody was like, oh my God, the salad is so good. It's to die for. Is it a family recipe? Yeah. And then I don't know. I just I feel like I don't know how to say anything. I just okay, I gotta hide my face, right? I just bow, And then everybody bows back. Yeah. But later I think, it is a family recipe. The Kirkland family recipe. So that's kind of a joke, kind of true story, very inspired by true events on the island. And I wrote a song, Asian Chicken Salad. It's on Spotify. You guys should check it out. Yeah.
For real?
It's for real. I performed it. On Sunday. Yes, for real. It's Michelle. So, it was here.
I was here. It was awesome.
Yeah, so it's for real. Okay, that's a joke. That's 12:45. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, so I've been here. I will be sharing this video so that you guys don't have to take notes or anything. I'll share my contact information. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Before I leave, I'll share my favorite moment from our last comedy show. Right? Our last comedy show, our headliner were asking everybody, "What is Camano Island known for?" And everybody shouts, "We have crabs!" So Camano Island itself is just comedy gold, okay? Find yours. Okay, my name is Bernice. Thank you so much for having me.